you doing? Okay? Yeah. It's okay. Be calm. Be quiet. Be still. You are here now. Listen to your breathing. Be safe. Be sure. Be here. Tomorrow can never touch you. Feel the ground with your feet. This is where you are. There's nothing else for you to deal with. Look, hear what you see. Listen, hear. What do you hear? Touch, hear. What do you feel? There's nothing else. It's not possible to see or hear or feel anywhere else. Be here. Be safe. Be now. Be you. So I just thought that would be a nice way to centre us. It's Pat Inglesby, he's my favourite poet. So, and he's not really a fan of religion, so I thought it'd be funny to... She'd probably be annoyed at me now if I was telling me that. So, yeah, I kind of have, I'd like to maybe do 5 more poems. We'll see how we're going for time though. And yeah. Thanks for the invitation. I was glad I got here a couple of hours ago just to listen and to get a sense of the room, so I had no real agenda. Greg did ask me to do my Dublin poem sort of at the end, but then as I was back there I was just making little notes as to what poems I might do, and maybe poems that aren't particularly the ones I would do during a normal gig, things that are a bit sort of stiller and hopefully in keeping with today. So it's a nice opportunity for me to do other material per se. I'm going to do a poem called Tooling Up, which actually is the first poem in my debut collection of poetry, which it's not published yet, but I wrote this when I went back to college. I was scared to go back to college. I went back and I just finished a degree last year, which was a great blessing. But I think the reason I'm doing this, I suppose we're all entering into an arena in here today looking for something, and hopefully you'll find whatever it is. So that's why a lot of the things I'm going to do are kind of a bit searching, I suppose. So, thumbs down, butchered, guts in hand, thrown from the arena. Now I re-enter, testing my fear, steadying my hand, striking forth. If not for the ghosts, my answers will be simple now. My questions are sharpening my words. My path back has seen me become a barman, a salesman, a chancer, a doormat. Now I'm methodically disemboweling authors, poets, theorists, hammering fiery metal, stoking allied arguments. No coliseum for me now. The heat of the furnace burns my brow, ignites my lungs, and has made me a sword. So that's that one. Cool. Don't bother. You nearly did a clap there. It's okay. So hopefully, I'm gonna. As I was back there. So this is a recent poem that I wrote a couple of months ago, and I haven't printed it, so it's on my phone. Hopefully nobody calls me, that'd be a bit embarrassing. I think there's a curse word in it as well, as I was reading, but like, you'll forgive me, you know, in fairness. So that's okay. Thanks. Is this okay? I was kind of like, Greg had asked me, do you want one of these jokes? And I thought then I'd need a backing track or something. Anyway, so I'm very lucky to have found poetry, and that sounds really corny. I was meant to be a mechanical engineer when I first left school, that's what I did, and then I got back to go and do an English degree. And poetry has taken me on an incredible journey, and it recently took me to Kerry, to an artist retreat, and I was invited to go down there. And I had an agenda to write specific poems in a play that I'm working on, and that was kind of a really bad idea, because I was resisting writing what I should have been writing, which was coming to me as I was in this solitary place. And eventually I was like, yeah, Stephen, you've been a fool. Just write what's happening right now. So this poem kind of came out of me, you know. So. A man goes to the coast of an island to be alone. He has gone as far as he can, for now it's called retreat. A great distance is not always far enough when the mind is as restless as the ocean you're sleeping beside. This man is seeking solitude, and in so doing has brought the loneliness into his own heart. Sure, he knew this would be the way of it, but he still put one foot in front of the other. You have to face it sometimes, learn. The barren landscape has seen worse, he reminds himself, of the continued struggle and erosion that is life. He thinks that's a cliched metaphor. A famine village is deserving of more. He looks out at the ocean all too often, the primal part in him wanting to rage in the deep blue. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, and around the table he was told of a tragic love story of a man who, after he buried his love, climbed to the top of Bolla's Head and threw himself to the depths. After this story, the man made the same trek. It would be so easy to climb the rock walls, pass by the sheep in the fields and dive, never submitting but knowing there's a fight. This is a fight never to be won once submerged. There's something honest in that, though, he thinks, is there, never submitting. Those rocks are patient hunters. How much violence have they caused by simple stillness? Then bird song rings through the air, like so many times it's called him away from a dark edge. Like so many times it's the simple things in his life that save him. Fond memories, curiosity. He could have sworn he saw the Fibonacci sequence in a spiderweb earlier. This reminded him. Those rocks can wait for now. Instead he'll walk into the wind which numbed his face yesterday while a warm heart pounds on beneath all the layers. You can go so far and it's never enough. You can learn to be still and it'll come to you. You can think of moving rocks, battling nature, or arranging words in some fashion, aiming for legacy. This is redundant. You fucking know this. Leave your ego at this pagan peninsula. Echoes of trauma are just that. Time for silence. You are here. It's sunny outside. The man notices the bruise in his knee is fading. The salted air is already healing. Later he'll eat eggs and light a fire. Later good things will come to pass. He remembers this right now as he sits still, warming his feet, ready to wander. Right, so we're doing all right, I think. You'll be the judge of that. So I'll do a little short one and then two more. Last year was quite a difficult year for me in many ways. Despite loads of good things happening, I needed to be alone sometimes, and I went back to church, and I was actually baptised Church of Ireland. I'll go anywhere, and to be honest, I don't. So I went to the St. Joseph's Church in Tiny Ark because it was just near where I was living, and I didn't go in for a sermon. I just got to sit down there for half an hour and just kind of be still. And I wrote this poem, a short one, which, funny enough, is actually the last poem in my book. It's sort of about getting rid of your ego, you know. I mean, you need one. And I have one. I need one to stand here and to talk to you, but it's just about kind of keeping that in check. So this is a little short poem called Relit Flame. I've taken myself back to church, not that I have faith in Rome or any other destination, nor do I seek the spectacle of ceremony. I've come here to be alone in the undergrowth, to feel small, to pair back with back on wooden bench. I've come to sacrifice an ego. Harry's Clark is overhead, glowing in Gabriel's annunciation. I'm enriched by the depths of his blue. Frost-like my divergence came to pass so long ago. But what road now? Where am I going to go? Just thought it'd be a nice one as well for ending the book, as in where am I going, you know. Still finding my way, but quite happy where I am now, thankfully. So I'll just do two more. We're doing okay for time. Cool. If anybody has any questions, will we take two questions and then we'll do two poems? Is that because I don't really want to just be coming and talking at you, you know. It seems it's been a nice interaction day so far. Unless, of course, nobody has any questions, in which case it's really embarrassing now, isn't it? I just motor on through the poems.
Questions after the opening poems.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's cool. I'll just say this next poem.
So this is a poem. Well, maybe after this one you might have something. So this is a poem I wrote for my mother, and the reason I'm doing this one is actually I wrote it on a Sunday, and we both had gone to church that day, and it's funny that I'm in here as well. I'm currently living in a friend of mine in his house. Both his parents passed away in the last couple of years, and he lives in Berlin, so I'm house sitting for him, and his mother would have taught here. So I was back there earlier on, and I kind of felt, her name is Valerie Jones, and I sort of felt her presence. So I'm going to dedicate this poem to her, even though it's about my own mum. She was like a surrogate mother to me, and I'd go around to their house every Sunday, and we'd sit around drinking tea and having sambos. And she was a really kind, beautiful lady, and her pictures are all around me as I wake up every day. So even though she might have passed, her presence is still felt, and I feel it now. So this is called The Gardener. She turned to me and said, "Do you think I'm happy?" And I heard a question that I didn't want to hear. I knew the answer. I have listened to the cry, but to face it made me uneasy, but I felt the bravery, I felt the realness in the moment, so I answered, "You see, she's a gardener who has great plans, but works with what she's got. She loves creation, sees beauty and wants to share with you, understands the cruelty of nature, and yet it fills you with wonder. Have you tried her rhubarb fresh from Granny's garden? You should. Maybe there are prettier roses, but you'd rather be a cooking apple, or better yet, a gooseberry. Her hands are worn, the flesh loosened by age. She held my hand in church today for the first time in too long. Her eyes are still young, still life to be lived. This Joe Bangles is not condemned when there is breath left. Still seeking that happiness. God love her. People before profit, she says. A modern-day Guevara or Connolly, as a nation lets her down, working 34 years in a job draining away her very essence for what? To feed me, educate me, clothe me, but not stopping there. I remember she took me to Mrs. Prendergast near Butlins when we couldn't afford to go to Butlins. Caravanning and Roundwood with a takeaway Chinese, the Isle of Man, the cinema, jazz after church every Sunday as we did today, 28 years on. Taught me to notice the sunset, her bondage, a sick child and a broken marriage, all this, and I don't know how to speak to her. I always want to hug her, and I don't know how. So a veiled kiss laced with courtesy will do. She's been learning how to stop living inside her own head, gets up, goes out, half the bottle. No panic attacks for a while, still manic, calmer now, still pretending, still xenophobic, homophobic, not meaning to be. Lost marbles down gutters like dreams. The anger, it's fresher though. Built up over years of false dawns and mistrust, reduced expectations, frustrations, once contentment, now quiet. Yes, quiet, peace, or perhaps bird song in her garden where she will grow. Apples, pears, spuds, raspberries, strawberries and gooseberries. Watch them bloom again and return to the soil, but not before she has lived a life deserving. My mother told me today she pretends to be happy. What do you say to that? Let's watch her flower now, I say, and bring her some water. Yeah, it's very good, isn't it? I'm allowed to say I've written loads of crap poems. There's certain ones, I suppose, that you go along and that punctuate moments in my life, and that poem for a long time became something I was trying to nearly move beyond and to write something better than, but I suppose in a sense I have in the next poem, but that will always be the most personal poem I've ever written, and it helped me to redefine the relationship I have with my mother, and I'm glad that she turned to me that day and said I pretend to be happy, despite it being in a car and we had a half an hour of a drive to go, and I was saying, this is a forced conversation, this is heavy stuff now, oh my God. But yeah, no, and for me poetry is an oral art form, and when I wrote that, my friend helped me to record it, and I gave it to her for her birthday on a CD along with another gift, and kind of ran away because I wasn't sure what the response was going to be, but it was a good thing. So I'd encourage you all, not necessarily to write poems, but to find some form of expression, be it photography or sport or painting, whatever it is, because as I do know it's corny, but poetry has been such a blessing in my life. And I got to meet incredible people, and I got to meet Greg and be here because of it. So hopefully you'll find some sort of an outlet for you, if you haven't already. So yeah, so the next poem then, unless we have any questions, or will I just ramble? Oh, we have a question, cool. Stops my embarrassment, cool.
Sorry, I'm Christina. My question just stems from I think one of the reasons people maybe aren't asking questions is your poetry is really moving. And just thank you for sharing it with us. It's beautiful. The idea of being happy and expressing things. I think in Ireland there's a huge stigma about having emotions at all, really, and sharing them. In your poetry, obviously, it shares a lot of who you are. And just my question is, I guess, how did you get to that place where it felt okay to actually share your emotions through any form of expression, and how you would encourage people to do it more, especially as an Irish culture?
Well, I think maybe through doing it and step by step, I felt it heals me, and I kind of also can't help but do it now. And it's strange, you be kind of walking around and it's like I see poems happening, before my eyes. I was at the checkout, the last poem I wrote, I was at the checkout in Super Value, and the lady behind the counter, she was a poem right in front of me, and I was walking away, texting to my phone, and then I went back home and finished it. It's mad, it happens all the time. But I'm probably more in tune to it now because I allowed it to happen. But yeah, so just allow yourself to be susceptible to what inspires you, and then to kind of create from there. For me, it just happens to be poems. I'm essentially a failed musician. It's the truth. It's the truth. Like when I was doing my leaving cert exam, the mock exams, there was a battle of the bands thing in school, and I was learning a few chords, and I wrote 2 songs. I wasn't able to do the exam hall, so I wrote 2 songs, and there I was like, I'm going to do the battle of the bands, and it was crap, and they didn't let me do it. And the first ever time I read poetry was actually just around the corner in Slattery's Bar. But on Tuesday night upstairs in there used to be an open mic for music, and I played a couple of songs just by accident, and to scare myself actually. I played a couple of songs, and then I read a poem one night, and then I heard a bit of poetry night, and I just kind of thought, oh, that sounds be a lot of weirdos there, but I like weirdos. And then it changed my view of what poetry is. Being elbow patch wearing people with Zimmer frames on the tree in a hill, to all sorts of things. And that's perfectly valid as well, and I probably appreciate that a little bit more now, but it was part of the journey to get to that, I don't know if I've answered your question. But just, I suppose, be open, susceptible to what inspires you, and don't be afraid to go and do that, because you'll get the rewards, I feel, Should I just do that? Because we're kind of 1 minute left, and this poem is 4 minutes, so you can talk to me afterwards, if you want. So thank you again for the invitation. This is called Dublin You Are. It's deadly. Dublin, you are grey brick upon brick, full of tarmac and hipster pricks, just face it. All other places pale in comparison, you are more than some former Saxon garrison, Dublin. Your warmth came too late for John Kerry, Dublin. Are you even sorry, Dublin? You're divided by more than the Liffey. You said yes to equality, it's about bloom and time, yet Dublin, you always proclaimed to cherish all Dublin. Your panties are on Capel Street, compromising any papal feats, Dublin. Jedward, awkward. Dublin. You're more than a settlement on the paddle, but Dublin, what's the crack with coddle? It's shite. Why don't you just admit it? Dublin. You brought back Sam again. But when did you go from the clash of the Ash to exchanging gold for cash? Dublin, Ablana, Balya Ahaclia, and 180 other tongues your citizens are using to name you. So Cade me the Fodget the all. Dublin, where the power is held by too few and the doll. Dublin, when will you revolt again? 1988 wasn't your true millennium, despite the 50p's in milk bottles. Dublin, you're mine, but I'm happy to share you. Dublin, from RTE, TCD, UCD, U2, SIP2, IFSC, and Acrimony, St. Bar, STDs, ODs, and OMGs. No longer the second city, yet you play second fiddle to Google and Guinness to Facebook and unsociable twits. Dublin, look at yourself. Your tower blocks and tenements are an excuse for a solution. Dublin, come here till I tell you can be more than rapid dirt birds and banjacks bowsies and alright storywood. Yeah, sure, it's all good. Jesus, that's Scalia. Why go baldy? McSawyer and the lawyer. Dublin, I cry for you. Dublin, you're a tough bastard. Yet you're full of the softness of all the people on your streets. Margaret Dunn dancing on O'Connell Street, the Dice Man, Tom McGinty miming on Graven Street, Paddy Inglewood's poems, Westmoreland Street, and your Mollies, Malone, Ivers and Bloom, to Daly, Sally, Sandy Mills from the Gospel of Kelly, Drew, McKenna, and Sheehan, the Borsa boys like Brendan Bean, Dick Lance rejoicing and Evelyn looking out to sea, snow falling slowly on the dead in glass, Nevin, Glenn, and Marquette, the one strolling, to Christy Brown, Wilfing, and Troning, a foot to paint pictures and poems to your heroines, Brenda Fricker, the city's mother, and Maureen O'Hara, an enchanting other. Dublin, you are boom and bust, running wild and swift. Dublin, can I trust you? Dublin, your true blue as Harry Clark's cobalt. Dublin, from a thin Lizzie Dicey, ready to do a floozy and jacuzzi, God-fearing. Dublin, shooting down Veronica Gearan. Dublin, your bang bang, 40 coats, Zosimus, a blind street poet. Dublin, you were all of us, and all who are yet to come. So let's go to the grave diggers and have a pint. Dublin, remember Stardust and all your waltzing lovers. Big Jim's arms are outstretched to arisen people, yet are we under the thumb again? Dublin, your GPO columns are scarred from the crackle of gunshots. Dublin, your CCTV will never yield your essence like the shots of Arthur Fields' man on bridge. You are the Poolbeck Towers and the poor showers begging on Bachelor's Walk. Dublin, you're all talk, yet you have my attention. From Robbie King to Paula, me and Dublin's calling you. Paul McGrath, while some say up the Ra. Dublin, bridging gaps with Joyce and Beckett, and finally the Rosie Hackett. Dublin, Paddy Finnegan was forced to sell the big issue on your streets while Daffodil Mulligan was played the bear round beats. Dublin, you say delish. Dublin, you're full of the Polish and Brazilian speaking Portuguese, and now the Chinese have turned Parnell Street into Chinatown. Dublin, don't let them down. Dublin, don't forget. No blacks, no dogs, no Irish. Dublin prepares the thought of you being racist. Dublin, Cullen has fed the GPO and is heading for Monto. Dublin, your bay embraces, despite the Sellafield Sea. Your mountains frame all your natural beauty. Dublin, a whale and banshee stricken with TB. Dublin, you're European, but you could be Craggy Island in disguise. Gabriel Conroy is heading west because of an epiphany. Just saying, Dublin, you only painted your post boxes green as the Abbey doing all your dream. Dublin, you're notorious for clampers, senators and seagulls, the Celtic tigers and septic tanks to singing high kings and rampaging Vikings. Dublin, come here. Take me for a Teddy's and a romantic stroll down the pier. Dublin, you're a dancing place, a sprawling space of villages and many faces on the edge of an island that's been eroded by the Atlantic, battling with being romanticised. Dublin, are you dynamic, struggling with identity, changing for the better, changing for us? Don't be scared to change. Don't be scared. We're with you, always. My friend, my home, mentioned 50 times in this poem. We live in you, with you, my city, McCree. I love you. Most of the time, you see, Dublin, you are me. Just like to say, thank you, Sarah. Sarah worked in the European Capital Culture campaign that asked me to write, that invited me to write that poem, and she really helped putting it all together. And I just spied her as I was reciting it there. So that was a nice little connection that we've had a full circle here. So just like to give her a round of applause, and thanks for listening.